Here we are, May 1st, 2025. Check out that view. Jolly old London skyline. And just there in front, I believe it's the National Maritime Museum. As I stand here in Greenwich Park, and at the Prime Meridian, which I know, because just up the hill, that there is the Royal Observatory. So fantastic day here as part of my ongoing tour of the UK. So this is me, Jeff Tsai, here on the YouTube channel, just taking in the beautiful day here in London, and just doing a little bit of a recap. Where we at? About a week and a half ago, I flew in and headed up to Glasgow, where I had a fantastic several days hosted by the Vanguard HEMA Club, headed by Jonathan Spouge and his lovely crew up there. Spent a lot of days going through a lot of things and a lot of variety, but at the end of the day, a lot of it was really fundamentals. I went and shared a key training framework, this frequent modus 10 states drill that, as I presented to various folks in multiple groups, really is holding, is doing what I'm hoping it does, which is really getting people to continue to move in a nice, smooth, continuous dynamic when they're training various techniques, which allows them to really make sure that they are in a fluid state, which is a better representation of what you find in sparring and even competition, especially competition, but in a controlled enough way that you can insert new techniques individually at a time and carefully see what that does to the other things that you're actually practicing at the time. So a really careful way of introducing new technique to train it. And the feedback from that group, they're a really sharp, knowledgeable group, not only on the things that I'm familiar with in terms of the German monster tradition, but also things from Scotland, the Scottish broadsword, using that sword in one hand, a lot of that, as well as some of their native dance, were all things that they actually cited as good complements that really helped echo a lot of the things that I was sharing in terms of looking not only at fundamentals, but actually broadening what we think of as fundamentals, which leads to things like that kind of like continuous dynamic. End of my visit here to Vanguard in Glasgow, Scotland. Thank you, Jonathan, and the whole crew. I had a great time. What did you guys think?
I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic how you were able to break things down into their necessities, the simplicities of everything, and get us to analyze it more and build it back up into something a lot more complex. You can never get too good at the basics. You can always be looking back at them.
Also, the focus on interpretation as opposed to just copying what we think, rather engaging with it on a level where you throw your assumptions out and start from what is actually on the page. I am guessing that most people in the room have their own interpretation of even what was read out, but we might well ultimately end up in the same spot.
I liked that it was a complete holistic framework. So rather than learning new individual techniques, we sort of looked at what are all the possible combinations of things. And so that gives you a way of interpreting new techniques if you find them elsewhere and seeing how do they fit in this framework, which gives you an idea of when and where do you use them. And in particular, the focus on footwork, in particular, like a methodological look at the footwork, rather than just doing footwork which makes sense for that move.
Yeah, I same as everybody else, but I the like focus on like flowing was really helpful. I found because we had a drill in one of the previous lessons that was where flowing was incorporated, and I truly was just like waving around my arms. I did not know what I was doing, and I was putting that into practice a bit more, and you said it was really effective when we were sparring. So yeah, and the outside binding as well, the emphasis on that was really good, because I got quite a good move off with that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, so yeah.
The focus on footwork, especially the 1-2-1-2 thing, considering I usually just step right into my opponent. And that's what I like doing something a little bit different that forced me to think, even though I wasn't very good at it, was quite helpful.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for coming and presenting here at Vanguard and putting up with our strange narrow tunnel. I'm sure the guys all enjoyed it. Thing beneficial for me, personally as a fencer, is having some more information and some more tools to fill in the blanks. So having what's written in between the lines or what isn't explicitly stated that should be considered was quite useful. So is there a corrective step somewhere? Is there a turn of the hand or a different presentation of the blade that isn't immediately apparent in each item you're reading, but should be contained overall? So that was quite useful for going, I have a better way of guessing how to fill in the blanks, a better method for it. And for me as a coach and as an instructor, very beneficial, as the other folks have said, having something to build building blocks with. And once the ingredients are understood, then the recipe for the whole thing can come together a lot better. So not just do this, get here, but do this until you're really good at it. Do this until you have every option to do this is very useful. So that gives something else. That gives me another way to build lessons for these guys in the future, other ways to coach and problem solve issues in people's fencing. And then on top of that, this is a very open lesson plan still that your flow drill, your frequency motus thing allows us to then go, you've got the flow now, let's use it to coach your edge alignment. Let's use it to coach how well you're actually targeting or striking. Let's look at how you're using that to accommodate for distance and measure, those kind of things. So it now gives us an analytical framework as well as a methodological framework. That's a word. So a complete lesson for these guys and a very open-ended toolkit for us to carry on with in the future. So it's going to be a gift that keeps giving in that way.
Good. So that was a fantastic time. Highly recommended if you can ever get up there and be part of that scene. Check out some of the events that they run. And from there, moved on to the York area, the University of York, where they have a White Rose historical fencing group, student group run by Isaiah Maness. Able to spend just an evening with them, but even in that short period of time where I kind of gave a speed run version of the 10 states and all of its implications, even with that short amount of time, the group picked things up very quickly, and hopefully we'll show some examples, some feedback from them, where you can see that they got those same concepts as the Vanguard group in very short order. So we went through something like 3 hours of stuff. What did you think? Did you have any takeaways that were either surprising or things that would be fun to take home?
So yeah, it was a great run through. I loved just going through the fundamentals and seeing them from a different perspective and really making sure that I understood them. As well as this, I found the application of crump quite unexpected. I really enjoyed that, and also the making sure to shift away from the blade, behind my own blade, was very helpful.
Sounds like good fundamentals, yeah.
I thought it was a really good session. I found the way that you were dealing with the fundamentals quite novel compared to what we've done in the past, and the fact that you were sort of going through it and broke it down in a formulaic manner made it really easy to understand and grasp quickly, not to mention the sort of going through the individual forces, the way it was applying to us, the way that we sort of had it feel, made it much more intuitive than previously when particularly just reading manuals and things.
So what did you think?
Oh, I thought it was a great session. I really enjoyed how you kind of built up the fundamentals from the beginning, and that kind of flowed into what you were talking about later of the crunk.
Right.
Also enjoyed your interpretation of the crunk as well. It being like treating it more as like an expulsion, kind of than what I kind of always thought as like a beat to the side, which I like. It felt very similar to expulsions in Distressor Rapier Thefts as well.
Absolutely.
Which I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Right. And not that I'm an expert on the distress stuff, but I think from an expulsion perspective, totally. Yeah.
Well, what I found really helpful was just going over the basics, really, since I haven't done that in ages. And we've just been really just focusing on the more technical aspects of HEMA. So just going over the basics was really great, and just really getting into the flow of just doing Zorns, parrying, just getting a nice tempo and flow to it when I've kind of been lacking that in general. So it was just really nice in general, I guess.
Was the continuous stuff, how did you find that?
It felt a bit new because, again, I haven't done it in probably a semester, so just doing that again. It was fun, I have to say, really engaging. It's very visual learning as well, so it was great overall.
I really enjoyed it. I think what I found the most interesting and different to a lot of other hero practitioners is that you always really keep the sword really dynamic. It's constantly moving, which I think is very unique because a lot of the times we're doing lots of like steals from like, going for the scriptures, going from pictures. It's very easy to have those, but keeping your sword moving all the time was really good. And also you focused a lot on defending yourself after a hit, which I think is really good, like preventing doublings and things like that. I think that's both a really good habit to build up fundamentals. Work really well.
I thought it was fantastic. I think by far my favourite, or the most useful thing for me, be the footwork. Just because I think, as a few people might have already mentioned, it was quite nice to just make it a bit more dynamic, fluid, and it really sort of brings to life the still images that you see of the original text to actually applying it more to, contemporary HEMA. I do fear you get unleashed a bit of a Pandora's box when it comes to the potential for hand hits through clumping and everything else, but I think that'll be good fun to see where it takes us.
Solve one problem at a time.
Absolutely. Yes. But otherwise, it was fantastic.
I really liked the session. I really liked how there's a lot more time to just go over things and practice a lot of different drills. Mm-hmm. But I think probably my favorite thing is the actual footwork. I thought of it as a lot more like in modern fencing, where you are just moving a lot more forwards and backwards. But here there's a lot more focus on going side to side, and especially the weight shifting thing rather than having passing and advancing steps was really, really interesting. Yeah, that was my favorite ever thing.
This was a huge benefit, and I'm really glad that we were able to get you in and sort of refresh the fundamentals for everybody, but also present it in a very new way that they may not have been familiar with. It's also helpful that it was kind of able to build on some of the things that we worked on last time we met. Yeah. And I definitely feel like I have a better understanding of all of that now. The other thing is in relation to how we looked at movement and how to move around in the fight. Something that I've tried to emphasize and incorporate is offline footwork and moving around the opponent, but that's still been a very linear strategy where you approach head on and then take a single step out, as opposed to keeping the fight moving the entire time. So yeah, that's all been really great, and I'm really glad we got to do that.
Yep, me too. All right, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for coming, really.
So that was very rewarding to be able to see that kind of very fast picking up of concepts. And from there, spent a day over in nearby Leeds at the Royal Armories, getting to work with some of the staff, Yasin, the edged weapons curator in particular. Really, always a treat being able to go there and actually see the vast number of very unique items and therefore an experience that you really can't get anywhere else. There's just so many stories and so much historical context behind all of those stories that really give you a much broader perspective, in a very parallel way to the way when we think about fundamentals of broadening them, just broadening the sort of cultural understanding, historical context of a lot of these weapons, just makes you realize there's a lot more consideration that we can really be giving to, all right, how do we fight with swords? it's not just necessarily what is documented in terms of historical technique, but also how it was used within the culture, and how it was used in different scenarios, not always just dueling. So from there, came down to London and had the privilege and the pleasure yesterday of filming all day with a colleague that I met last year at Fight Camp, hosted by Matt Easton. The colleague that I spoke with yesterday, Asanta Laula, fantastic practitioner and a student of Shastra Vidya, which is a Indian art which I did not have very much knowledge about, but really got I got to be a student myself yesterday, really digging into their concepts and their insights and seeing how they both aligned in surprising ways, which was very gratifying with the fundamentals that I've been looking at, but also a lot of what I would consider sort of advanced concepts that are really great for me to take back and explore. And a lot of the genesis of those sort of advanced ideas is the fact that this art really is a weapon art, but looking at things from lessons learned from using these weapons on the battlefield. So really thinking not just one-on-one combat, but also, all right, what happens when we've got one or two or however many soldiers actually working together and actually trying to break the line of another set of soldiers. So small unit tactics, all that kind of stuff, and what are the lessons learned. So really, really great conversation. Shot a lot of content from that, so hopefully that'll be coming up in future weeks. Sadly, this is close to the end of the trip, but before I fly out in a couple of days, one last trip to, again, Matt Easton. He's got a group here that I will be visiting relatively soon with his School of Victoria school. And again, can't wait to actually not only talk with Matt about Arms and Armor and its historical context and combative context. Hopefully we'll get some good video from that. But also, being able to present these ideas that I've got with the fundamentals, broad fundamentals, in the context of actually binding in mind, which is something that I think he and his club were interested in seeing. So, more to come. And in the meantime, enjoy the rest of this amazingly gorgeous day, and we'll see you in future videos.
Huh. I should have taken the video from this angle. Oh well, learn.